I got healthy, got wealthy, and even got wise. That sweet Kangen water open up my eyes, satisfying for the body, gratifying for the mind. Kangen water for the rest of my life. Kangen water quenches your thirst. Kangen water feeds your soul. Kangen water inspiring your dreams. Kangen water for the rest of my life. Let's unify with Chiyu spirit. Kangen water will set you free. Let's unify with Chiyu spirit. Kangen water will set you free. Let's unify with Chiyu spirit. Let's follow Mr. O's philosophy. Look within, cause you wanna win. Join the Kangen Nation. Kangen Nation, we're everywhere. All around the world, water we share. Changing one life at a time. With compassion for mankind. Well, I love you so, you gotta know. Hope you don't mind me preaching.
Okay, here we go. All right, folks. Jamie Wilson. I already
Hey,
did
how
the
you
intro.
doing, guys?
So anyway, let's start off like this. It's March, so roughly, it's a 1 year anniversary, roughly, of the
Yeah,
lockdown.
yeah. 1 year,
1 year.
man. One year not going on stage. 1 year of insanity. 1 year of trying to, reinvent yourself or repurpose yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Repurpose yourself. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. That's what all the when the lockdown happened, at least here in Manila, and the arts were declared non-essential. All the theater
Mm-hmm.
people and all the musicians just scrambled because we were thinking, what the hell are we gonna do now? And we were
Yeah,
the
man.
first to get shut down, and we're the last that's gonna be able to go back.
Yeah, it's the last. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so yeah, and then in terms of here, of the rest of the world, it's just the same thing in terms of entertainment.
yeah,
Any form of entertainment where there is an audience inside in an air conditioned hall or whatever, that's the last thing that's gonna come back.
yep.
And that's our thing, man.
I know that's the
You know,
hardest thing.
oh
I've had two gigs though,
god.
which was very which were very fulfilling in terms of being able to play in front of actual people and not a webcam.
Right.
And with safety protocols in place, and it's just early because it's like dinner time because we still have a curfew. So you
Oh,
start your yeah you
there's
you
a
start your
curfew in Manila.
yeah, there's still a curfew, although you know how it is here. It's
Mm.
flexible, but still, establishments can't tell their people, oh, you can stay till 12. You get what I
Oh, okay,
mean?
I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So we would start our sets at like 8 p.m. Aga.
What was this? You were performing, singing?
Yeah, I was singing. I was singing with Nina
Oh,
Mendoza. We did an acoustic
oh,
set
okay.
in La Colina.
Right.
We've done two so far. And slowly things are coming back because restaurants are allowed to have people. So we
Inside
are trying,
or
yeah,
outside?
inside.
Oh,
Inside,
inside.
but with
Okay.
proper ventilation.
Right.
So we open the aircon's open, but the windows are open as well. The
Yeah.
doors are open to
Uh-huh.
promote circulation. There are safe ways of doing it,
Yeah.
except that the essential fear of people not wanting to go out. you have the
Hmm.
few brave souls who come to your gigs, and that's
Yeah,
nice. That's
and that's
really,
not
really
in.
nice.
I have to say, I'm not one of those people, man. I am. I am not brave enough to go. I mean, here now, if there was a gig, let's say if Perf de Castro's band played, and I feel like no, I can't. I'm not
Yeah,
that hungry
yeah,
because it's just too early in the game, man. And over here, there are people who are just waiting and just like just waiting and longing for all of this to end. Or
yep,
because of course we all find it absurd but it's reality and we have to adapt. But there is a section of society that doesn't believe it at all.
yeah,
To a
yeah. Well,
point, so
that's where we're lucky here in Manila, at least. I mean, wearing a mask and wearing a face shield is the law.
yeah, yes,
So you can't really get around that. So
yeah,
somehow that's one of the few things that is keeping us with a semblance of normalcy,
hmm,
I guess. I mean, once you've realized, every time I step out of the door, I'm already, wearing a mask, right?
right, yeah,
But it's one of the things that have allowed us to sort of be able to go to dining establishments, go to the mall,
yeah,
and still be have that layer of safety and security, because
hmm.
basically it's against the law not to wear a mask. So
so
that's what's helping us.
so how does it go when you eat out? Are you
Some restaurants have these acrylic dividers.
okay?
But
So
then most restaurants practice social distancing.
okay, and
So
you can take off your mask while eating, while in
yeah,
your
well, you have
on
to.
your,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, same
yeah,
here. I think, and right now it's the same thing, especially if it's a bigger restaurant, if it's a big room
yeah,
where
yeah.
they
The
can
ones with
afford,
space,
yeah,
the
with
ones with
space, so they
space are
can
lucky.
afford to, every other table, open,
Yeah.
and
It also helps that I've repurposed myself into a safety officer. So I've been doing consultations for, some restaurants. We're trying to get bars up and running, but technically
mhm,
the government will only allow bars with kitchens to come
yeah,
up, because they have to reinvent themselves as a dining establishment with
right,
alcohol.
yeah,
And you check the safety protocols, and it works, because after around 19 RT-PCR tests, I can't even count how many antigen tests I've had, because that's
shit,
my job as a safety officer, right? Yeah, dude,
right.
my nose is like, chicken lang to, pare.
It's your nose is like, hey man, where's the cocaine, man? At least
You know?
let's have some
Well,
fun, man.
that's what I've always said, man. I've had worse things up my nose, so this swab is actually one of the better things I've had up my nose,
Oh
aside from
my
my finger.
gosh. Ah. But I
So
mean,
yeah, but the there's no full band setup yet that's allowed.
yeah,
Now we're doing acoustic gigs, and it's great to be able to at least play live.
yeah.
To some aspect, in some respect, but pare, you just miss the full band sound.
Oh
Behind you when you're
man,
singing. There's nothing like it.
the dude, I'm like the what I'm fantasizing about these days is the first show that I'm gonna watch. It's like, what is the first show that I'm gonna watch? Because
Yeah,
once the lockdown, I mean, total lockdown is totally lifted.
yeah,
Concerts are good. I mean, I guess there are protocols with concerts. It's that you have to be tested, which is fine. I'll do whatever it takes to go to a show, and I'll probably even be in a mask most of the time
yeah,
until it's
yeah,
time for the show. Then I'll take off my
yeah,
mask. But it's like, what? Which one? Who am I?
yeah,
Who's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
the
Which one?
first? Right? It's like, who's gonna be the first? Is it gonna be a small show here? Is it gonna be fucking Roger Waters doing fucking The Wall? Because and you can imagine all of the bands, the touring bands, major, minor, whatever, they're
Yeah.
all like, they're planning.
Oh yeah,
Each entity is planning world domination.
yeah,
Each entity.
yeah.
So you can imagine the quality that's gonna come out after all of this is when it's back open again.
Yeah.
The
I mean, the
quality.
one thing that's coming here that's booked
Mm,
for December, well, rebooked because she had to cancel her show last year, is Alanis Morissette.
oh,
So we're all hedging our bets that the conditions continue to loosen up, and now that the vaccines are being rolled out, things are going to be,
yeah,
she's going to be able to actually come and play. But more
yeah.
than that, Wolf, I mean, like we're already, all of us have been planning since last year.
Hmm.
Pare, the first full band gig you can actually put on, the first gig you can play. I
Yeah.
mean, this is what happened with after 6, 7, maybe 8 months of not playing. My first gig with Nino Mendoza, pare. Our
Hmm.
first song, hindi kami nagko-connect kasi we were so gigil
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah,
playing in front of people. And then
yeah,
after the first song, it's like, okay, we gotta chill out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because that's forgivable because we were so gigil. We were so
yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
my god, people. Oh my god, no masks.
Oh
Oh my god, live
wow,
music. So can you imagine the first time? I mean, more than the gig you're gonna watch, Wolf, the gig that you're gonna play, and
dude!
you
The
gotta
first,
play,
oh, the first gig I'm gonna play, dude. I can't wait for that bip, that first motherfucking hit on the cymbals with
right?
the whole band, bam! Oh my
Diba?
god, pare.
And that's the thing that we're trying to. I mean, there are a lot of initiatives here in Manila in terms of like for the National Live Events Coalition, people, the
Hmm.
suppliers, lighting directors. We
Yeah.
all banded together. That's the one thing nice about what happened during the pandemics, that we all had this time and we knew we all had to come together as an industry. So we're
Hmm.
petitioning the government of the importance of the arts, not only as an industry in terms of revenue, in terms of like taxes and the
Yeah, yeah,
contributions
yeah.
to, the coffers of our country, but more importantly, it gives people things to look forward to
Yeah.
and something to live for. Because if it's we're just
Something,
surviving, what's the
something to
point?
live for. Yeah.
Something to live for.
Exactly, man. I mean, with my job nowadays, I'm a caregiver, so it's Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? It's the same thing, dude. It's the
Yeah,
same thing every day. Groundhog Day, Groundhog Day. And then every now and then I'll visit a record store. Every now and then I'll get some takeout. Every
yeah,
now and then I'll walk through the open mall. There's some malls now it's just open air. It's not inside.
nice, nice.
But that's it. That's it. There's nothing else to do. You can't watch a movie.
Yeah,
Watching a movie at home.
yeah.
Um,
And it's a
you're
different
watching.
experience watching something at home. Even if you're with your family or your friends or your loved ones, it's a different experience when you see it on the big screen. The collective experience, like a live gig, is
Yeah.
something that's so unique, and it's something that people are so hungry for.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like just musicians that are going to play, and everybody. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's planning world domination. People are
Can you
coming out of the
yeah.
woodwork,
Yeah.
realize and planning tours
Planning
because
tours.
they
Can you imagine the tours that are being planned right now,
right
dude?
because
And then
they realize, shit, man, this got taken
yeah,
away from us. So the
yeah,
people who have stopped touring are thinking of touring again, simply because I want to do this because
yeah.
the world stopped.
The world
You
stopped,
know?
and it's like because they think that their world stopped just because they're old or whatever. They don't want to tour or they don't want to play or whatever.
No,
Then they realize, like, holy shit, man,
we got to do this.
I gotta live, man.
Yeah. And
Or
that is the
you know,
purest. Diba, isn't that the purest form? Like some acts, like, okay, we got to tour because we got to make money, or we got to tour
hmm,
because we got to promote an album. In this sense, once the lockdowns have ceased and the world starts moving again, this
yeah,
is going to be the engine that is going to get the world moving again, because it's the purest reason to go out there and tour, because we want to play in front of people.
because we want to play in front of people, and we have all of these ideas that
Yeah.
have been stewing
Yeah.
since for a year at least.
For a year. Yeah.
For a year at least, and then Roger Waters, he canceled his tour. Who and so many people canceled tours,
Yeah.
and be it a major artist or minor band, touring band, everyone stopped. So now they've had all this time to get better and
Mhm.
think about stuff and be like, my God, this is like all out na to. So you can imagine all of the quality, even in the local scene in Manila, whatever. All the musicians there, just like you said, are just like hungry, man,
Yeah.
just to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I can just imagine, like you and Nino, the first songs of these
Pare, we were
bands.
sublime. We
Yeah,
were
the first
sublime,
songs are
man.
gonna be so sublime and
I mean,
fast and go
the first song we did was "Sympathy for the Devil" to
yeah.
open up with, to sound check with, the acoustic sound with, and all that. And it was so funny because we were not connecting because we were so gigil, and that's just essentially a very simple song to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we were so gigil, I realized I was hanging on to my bar stool. My knuckles were white because
Oh,
I wanted to
really?
I wanted to explode.
Wow, I bet, man.
It was a small intimate bar, but putang ina, I was singing it like I was in a fucking arena.
Yeah.
You know, you know
You
what I mean?
you wanted to make Jagger out, pare.
I wanted to move around. I wish I had a
Yeah.
wireless mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I get it, man.
But
Oh
that
my God.
gigil, that hunger is, worldwide, the artists, and not only in terms of bands, but
Yeah.
ballet companies are coming up with something amazing.
Oh,
Theater is coming
theater.
up with amazing ideas because we've had a year to reset, and
And
we're
we have it
coming
when
back.
and we've had a year of just
Sitting around.
the no, and not just that, but it's like the maximum. This is the most maximum that we've ever lived in terms of like everything is shut down.
Yeah.
500,000 Americans have died, dude. 500,000,
Wow. Yeah.
pare. 500,000.
Yeah.
The Vietnam War was only 50,000,
Exactly.
pare. You know,
Diba?
so it's like everything that's going to come out. And then I actually was listening to a podcast, and someone was making a point that a lot of the art that you're going to see is not going to be directly always about COVID or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Someone
It
like,
won't
because
be. Yeah.
it's too
Yeah.
obvious. It's too
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
So the really good artists are gonna go around it. It's still gonna be there because that's what happened to our life
Yeah.
in one
Yeah.
year. The whole world experienced the same thing. Oh my God, I can't.
I think the one thing I really look forward to in the art being created now, in terms of because of the lockdown, and because
Mhm,
of the way that not only we've had to rethink the way we do business, but
mhm.
we've had to rethink the way we actually are as people. Because all of a sudden you were stuck without any of the social norms that were influencing you.
Yeah,
You didn't you couldn't go out and be amongst people, and these social norms do influence you. So you had to take a long hard, at least this is what happened to me. I had to take a long hard look at myself in terms of what kind of person I was, what kind of man I was, and what kind of person I wanted to be. And that's going to be the same thing with the art. It's not just going to be about COVID or the pandemic or the world stopping, but
mhm.
moving forward from that, the great artists are going to create a way through it and
Right.
beyond it, so that hopefully, this doesn't happen again and we become a better society.
Yeah,
Ooh, we hope.
it's
We
like
hope.
no, but the thing is,
It's
it's
like the
like
Renaissance, man. It's going to be like a Renaissance.
it's a renaissance. Yeah, it's a renaissance, and I hate to always go back to politics, but politics is so popular around the world, Patty. And right now, politics is just as stupid as politics can get. I've never seen it so stupid in my life, Pare.
That's true.
So,
That is true.
and we were stuck. And the thing is, we were stuck.
Yeah.
We were stuck with all of this politics, Pare,
Yeah.
because all of this drama, from Black Lives Matter to the US election to whatever was happening in the Philippines, and whatever in the world that was experiencing, we all had a front seat to it. And
Yeah.
some of us were even fucking there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
there's so
It
many
was
people that went out into the street and was like bahala na si Batman pare. And
yeah,
not
but
even just
but you have to make yourself counted.
yeah.
Because of all this stupidity, because of all this ineptitude, um and this pwede na attitude of like, oh, we're flying by the seat of our pants, and they don't realize that the decisions that they make affect everybody,
Yeah,
right?
man.
People had to find themselves out in the street and to be counted.
Yeah.
Same thing was happening here to a smaller degree, because our freedoms were, locked down. Because our
Yeah.
lockdown was like a harsh lockdown with military everywhere. Pare. We had
Right.
checkpoints. I was
Yeah.
wondering, man. I was wondering when I was going through checkpoints, and this was like legit checkpoints, like military
Yeah,
APCs and
yeah.
all.
Yeah, I know.
You're thinking, pare, is this how sila Pepe and sila Jun Lupito felt during martial law
Oh
when they had to
shit.
move around?
I
'Di
bet,
ba?
pare. I
So
bet.
parang ito yung version na nadaanan natin
Yeah, dude.
in
Dude.
terms of that. And then tapos my curfew, you had to be home before curfew. The supermarkets
Damn.
were very limited in terms of how many people they would enter. I had to
It's
line up
fucking
for a
scary,
supermarket.
dude.
Yeah, I had to line up early in the lockdown. I had to line up for groceries, and we didn't make the cutoff. So
Oh
we
my
were like,
god.
I can't buy
Fuck.
food. Oh my god,
So
you know what I
what, you had to
mean?
wait the next day?
Yeah, I had to
It,
come up. I had to show up earlier the next day.
shit.
So and that's because supermarkets were open because they were essential, but they only had to be at capacity
Yeah.
because of the COVID mitigation
Yeah.
protocols. So you're thinking, oh my God, man. So parang the whole world went through this. But to localize it, I was wondering, from all the cuentos of Sila Pepe, all the martial law, cuentos of the Pinoy rock era.
You're right.
Pucha na, ito yung version natin eh. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean, it was I can imagine that because I remember the last time I was in Manila or the last time no, the last time I was in Manila, there was no I didn't play. I played with Maximum Rock and Roll. So what we when we the last time I played in a band with Three-Headed Dog
Yeah.
and I think eh, we worked with you and then I remember the first day of one of my trips, you were in the car and we were on South Superhighway going to Paco area. Do you
Hmm.
remember that, dude? Where were we? Where'd we come from,
I
pare?
I have no idea where we were going.
Oh my god, I don't know. But I don't but the point is it was traffic because there was a checkpoint. And I was fresh from here.
Yeah.
So I had a joint we had a joint we were smoking a joint in the car. And I'm like, putang ina, feeling Cali, pare, feeling California, whatever, pare.
Hindi,
And you're like,
hindi
dude,
pwede dito.
no, I know, yeah. You're like, dude, there's a checkpoint upstairs. They're not gonna like what you're doing here. So I'm like, oh, then it's like right away, the switch went off Manila mode,
Yeah.
Pinoy, Pinas mode, right away. Oh, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, puta, right
Yeah.
away. I'm like, fuck no, man. Ain't no California. I don't want to go
Which
to
makes a
jail, man.
which makes a big difference because the last time we saw each other, we were in California. It was my
Yeah,
birthday. And the first place you take me
right.
to is a dispensary. I'm like,
Yes.
freedom,
Yeah, man.
freedom.
But
Pare,
I mean,
all the
here,
all the dispensaries I hit
uh-huh.
on that trip, on our last trip, I was so broke because
Yeah, man.
it was just the whole idea, was just so alien to me that you had the freedom to walk in and not
Hmm.
only purchase your weed, not only to purchase in weed in whatever form, but what amazed
Yeah,
me most about the dispensaries there are that they have specials. Like if it's your
yeah,
first time and you reach a certain amount of money that you spend, you get freebies. I'm like, freebies? Seriously? You're like the best
yeah.
dealers ever.
Nowadays, the ones the promos that they have are only the fly by night, quote unquote fly by night dispensaries. These are dispensaries that they you don't pay taxes. So whatever,
Ah,
if it's whatever the amount is on the um
on your
in the
bill.
store, if it's
Yeah.
$40, then you pay $40. But if you go to a
Ah,
legit dispensary, the nice ones,
yeah.
you have to, there's at least, I've noticed, because you get receipts. In the
Yeah.
fly by night ones, there's no receipt. So when you get a receipt, you see all the taxes. You see the California tax, the local county tax, Orange County tax, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
another tax. There are three taxes that you pay, man, and it adds up to at least $12 in taxes, dude. $12 in taxes, pare. Oh my god, it's so much, pare.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh,
hey, you're
no,
paying
I
for
know.
the
I'm not complaining.
privilege to be able to
I'm
do
not
that,
complaining. I'm
you
not
know?
complaining because when you the product is fucking amazing, man.
I
It's a
just wish that, one day we are going to be evolved enough here to legalize it, because there are numerous studies that have been made. Case in point, like Colorado was bankrupt, and then they
yeah,
legalized it, and now they have so much money, a surplus of funds, that they're building schools. You're
yeah,
like, wow, man, that's just an
dude. I
amazing
mean,
thing.
because the Philippines is that's the perfect weather for growing weed. Because the most important ingredient of weed is sunlight.
Yeah. And we got a
That's
lot of
how.
sunlight.
Yeah, you got a lot of sunlight. So the weed, the plant is gonna grow really fast. So your
Yeah.
harvest, you'll have double harvest, double the time, or
Yeah.
double the
Yeah.
time, because there's so much sunlight.
And not only
And
that, I mean, you have the sister industry of hemp. I
yes,
mean, Manila rope is hemp, for
yeah,
crying out loud. We've been
yeah.
exporting that like forever. It's called Manila hemp,
The
you
reason
know?
why it's called the Manila envelope, or the Manila envelope, is
Yeah.
because it was made from hemp.
Yeah.
Manila.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have to bring that. They have to bring that. And there's even a picture. I saw it on Wikipedia. There was a picture of an old map, and it describes. I think it was the map of either Southeast Asia or of all of Asia, and then each country it describes its natural resources. Its
Yeah.
exports.
Yeah.
And in the Philippines, it's it wasn't sugar yet. It was rice and
Hmm.
hemp.
Yeah.
It's there. It says hemp.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we legalize this, we can. I mean, it needs to. You have to change the hearts and minds of people, for one thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, if you change the mind of the government in terms of just how much money that they can get, that's always easy because our government loves money.
Yeah.
But I would love to, if there was a legalization. A lot of people have been asking me, so what position would you like to be in if we do get legalization here? And for me, I would like to curate the legalization, because with the legalization, you have to promote the culture.
Yeah.
So I would love to, if you have a dispensary, pocha, man, the dispensaries have to have a certain kind of music, a kind of vibe.
Right.
Yet I
Right. Right.
mean, a welcoming vibe. You have to have a coffee shop attached to it, simply because you're gonna get hungry.
Yeah. 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 And the presentation has to be just like here. It has to be
Yeah,
legit. Because you're
yeah,
not. Man. I mean, just just the thought. I mean, of legalizing in the Philippines, you have everything because you have hemp and you have cannabis. So the cannabis, you can you can start so many things.
yeah,
You can manufacture CBD, and
yeah.
start a company that does that, and manufacture CBD, manufactures hemp, everything. Pare, the Philippines will become a first world country, man.
And then I'll probably ask for a cabinet position in the
Right.
government if we legalize it. And I want my title to be chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
I want to be I want to be the chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
What are you in charge of? Stuff, man.
Stuff.
Stuff. But
Stuff.
only the good stuff.
Only the good stuff. No, it has to be chief of chief of only the good stuff. Yun.
And can you imagine the kind of art, the kind of music that would come out from that, the kind of personal freedoms that can come from that in terms of, changing your hearts and minds. And really it's been, I firmly believe that it was put on this earth by God as a cure all.
See,
You know?
that is I think the perfect angle to promote cannabis because Filipinos
Yeah,
are
because
very
we got to
Filipinos
get
are
the church on
very
our side.
yeah. You have to have the church on your side, and there are examples of it. I mean, Rastafarianism is that's a sacrament.
Exactly.
Their
Exactly.
religion is based on that, and they are a recognized religion. So
Yeah.
you cannot dispute that, you know, just because they're not Christian or whatever, but they are Christian. They are a Christian sect and
Yeah.
very Christian actually.
Yeah,
I
they are.
always I always listen. I want your take on this. This just came out of nowhere, but I always have this thought about Bob Marley. So Bob Marley to us is like uh peace and love, social justice. Sounds very on the surface like a liberal. He's like the
Yes.
perfect liberal, right?
Yeah.
But he's Rastafari. He's Rastafarian. And the Rastafarians are very Old Testament
Yes.
based.
Yes.
So I always have this question in my mind. And one day, if I ever get a chance to meet a Marley, luckily meet one of the Marleys, I'm gonna ask them this. Sincerely ask them this. It's like, are you as the Rasta, or is your father, or you yourself, since you're very Old Testament based and very that it is very it's very homophobic.
Yeah.
Would Bob Marley be, if he hadn't died, if he's still alive, had he would have he evolved into quote unquote wokeness
Hmm.
in that area because he is Rastafarian and
Yeah.
Rastafarians are fucking they're just as devoted as the Jewish people that go to the Wailing Wall and the
Yeah.
Muslims that go
Yeah.
to Mecca. It's like that. So I mean, what do you think about that? You
I
know.
think I think he would be because I think he captures the essence of, like, one love.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow an artist like Bob Marley and you see his body of work, right? Yeah, I'm judging. I've never met the man. I don't know the man,
Right.
right?
Right.
And there's always a danger of judging the man via his work, which could be
Mm-hmm.
two separate things. But I think an artist like Bob Marley lived his art.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I think he would have gone to the essence of his beliefs and saying, look, if this is if the love your fellow man, that's open to interpretation. You know
Right.
what I mean? What kind of
Right.
love are you
Yeah.
talking about, when you say love your fellow man? But if at the essence of it, I think he would have gone into wokeness in that sense
Mm.
and gone to the essence of his teachings, because I mean, the Old Testament made way to the New Testament, and these are all, and I hate to say this, political ramifications of the councils in the Catholic
Right.
Church,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah. Agree.
But
Yeah.
the first books that have been written, that's why it's still the best-selling book in the world, the Bible. When you
Yeah.
read the Bible and the versions of the Bible, yes, there are a lot of thou shalt nots, but if you capture the essence of things, basically they just wanted us to get along
Mm-hmm.
and work our way through whatever issues that divide us. I mean, there's not only, there's homosexuality, there's racism, but if you go to the Old Testament also, there are, it's very descriptive of ways that a man should dress. He has
Right.
to wear a certain robe, which
Yeah.
does not apply anymore.
Yeah.
So inevitably, you have to pick and choose what you believe in. And I think Bob Marley is the kind of artist that chose, as he says, one love.
Hmm.
And I think he would have been perhaps not an advocate, but perhaps in terms of tolerance and letting people believe what they believe, because he
Right.
never shoved it down our throats. In terms of, like, some of the concerts that I've watched, on video, listening to his music, it's
Hmm.
basically like the essence of jamming.
Yeah.
If five people congregate in a room and discuss their beliefs, you're not going to agree on everything, but the important thing is to have the conversation continue. And isn't that what jamming is all about?
Right.
I'm just jamming with you,
Yeah.
you know and if
Yeah.
we keep on going to the table and talking to each other about our issues, our take on issues, our opinions on issues, where we stand, then the dialogue will continue so that we can work shit out.
Right.
There are a lot of things I don't understand in this world, and a lot of things that I don't, you know, agree with.
Hmm.
But I've always been a person that would I would agree to disagree with people, because if we were
Right.
all coming from the same place, we wouldn't be individuals, and
Yeah.
our individuality is what's so important as human beings.
Right.
Whether you belong to a tribe, a race, a country, right? At the end of the day, if you break it down to the essence of it, we all know, as human beings, we all know how it feels like to have our hearts broken, how to be in
Yeah.
love, to be hungry.
Exactly.
We all put on our
Yes.
pants one leg at the same time, one leg at a time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
We gotta
And if you
work
break,
to make ends
yeah,
meet, pare.
yeah, we all got to work to make ends meet. We all got to
Yeah.
be, kinder to each other in terms of like dealing with the world, and more tolerant and more understanding.
Hmm.
Now, if you remove the political agenda and make it into a human revolution, and
Yeah.
have those values intact, then I think the world will essentially be a better place, because I'm not telling anybody my beliefs are what you should believe in. I
Hmm.
respect yours if you respect mine, and let's jam.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. That's why music, live music, like if you have a band, is the perfect microcosm for it, because you have four or five individuals from very diverse backgrounds,
Oh yeah.
coming from separate lives. And what do you agree on? A bass line, a riff,
Yeah.
a song, a bridge. It's a
Yeah.
perfect microcosm.
Yeah,
And
it
then
is.
it leads you, like the song is the sum of all its parts.
Yes.
So your contribution, even if you're coming from the left and this guy's coming from the right, but if you meet in
Yeah.
the groove, the groove
Yeah.
is more groove is
You
more
meet
important than you.
you meet on the one, man.
Yeah, you meet on the one, pare. 'Di ba? It's a
Kita-kita tayo
perfect
sa uno.
microcosm. Yeah, it's a perfect microcosm for
It
people
is.
who can get along.
Yeah. And yeah, I never thought of it that way. But you're definitely right, because when you jam, that's one thing. I've been lucky with Wolfgang, is that we weren't just a band that could write songs, but we were a band that could jam, because we started as a jam band.
Yeah.
Because by necessity, and the same thing happened with Razorback, because they didn't have enough songs to fill 3 sets. So
Yeah.
you just jam
One song
coke.
could be 15 minutes, pare.
Yeah, they used to play cocaine for 30 minutes when they were starting
Right?
off in Calye. I'd be like, oh my god, it's 30 minutes, my god. But there was no one there, so but they had to fill
I
the
also
time.
I also remember, like, coming in. When I was looking forward to this interview, I was thinking, and a memory came to my head,
Uh-huh.
where I remember dropping acid at home one night, and it was my first solo trip. And I was, like, getting into me and getting into the universe, getting into myself, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I realized, I think it might have been a Friday or Saturday night. And I'm like, pucha, I have to, after I peaked, I was coming down. I dropped early. And I was thinking, I have to go out. and road test these new superpowers I have, right? It is on acid, right? And I ended up going to a Wolfgang gig at
Okay.
this bar on the corner of Makati Avenue and Buendia. It's on the ground
Dude,
floor. The
San
park I forget.
Tropez, pare.
Yeah, that's it there, Saint Tropez.
And
Saint
behind
Tropez.
the
And
7-Eleven.
yes, behind the 7-Eleven. And I remember, pucha, I'm going to Saint Tropez, pare. And of course, in my state of mind, I have to wear a very colorful jacket. So I picked up my sister's really colorful blazer. I was all black cowboy boots, but I picked up a really colorful blazer and I walk into the bar. I got
Okay.
a beer and
Yeah.
you guys asked me to jam. I don't remember what I jammed, but I
Oh
remember
shit.
it felt so good being up on that stage with newfound perceptions, with, you know what I mean, with
Yeah.
in this
Uh-huh.
state of mind.
Oh
And it
wow.
was all just tinginan. And you like you said it, kita-kita tayo sa one,
Yeah.
and it was completely unplanned. I forget, it was probably a cover song. It was probably Roadhouse Blues, knowing me.
Probably. Yeah.
um but it was epic in a sense, and I don't think it was just because of the state that I was in, but it was something that was so free form in some parts,
Mm-hmm.
but we all met back at the one
Yeah.
without planning it, without thinking about it. It was
Dude.
almost instinctive, and that was one of the best trips I've ever had.
Well, I am honored that I was part of that, pare. I know what you mean, man. I mean, when the jamming is perfect and it's just like ESP between the
Yeah,
members,
yeah,
it's like when they say, when musicians say, playing live music in front of a crowd, it's better than sex. To me, that statement happens when that happens. When
yes,
all of the
agree.
members are just in sync, totally in sync.
Yeah,
That whatever you do, it's like you're so open. It's like, okay, because it really happens with some guy. Someone will do something,
yeah,
and then it depends on the others if they're gonna be open and kind enough to go along with what that guy did. Right? You know
yes.
what I mean? It's
Yeah,
up
it's
to
like
you.
one guy. It's like one guy saying, come with me, guys."
Yes, come with me. And then you're like, and then for me, when I hear something like that, when either Mon does it, or if I'm jamming with Razorback and Louis Talan does it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. They opened a secret door, so I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go.
yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah.
with them because
And you
it
have
re-
no assurances. There are no assurances that you can come back. And
no, there's
that's
none.
the thrill. That's the thrill of it. That's the excitement that you feel, because where are we going? I don't know, but let's go.
Dude, there
Right?
have been times when the jam just we just had to stop playing because we're like I don't know where to go. Let's just stop and then start
I don't know where to
again. One,
go.
two, three,
Let's
four.
get
Yeah,
yeah,
like that. Yeah, kasi wala na. It's like saan tayo pupunta? I
yeah.
don't know. Like, well, it's
And
not
that goes
happening, so
back.
let's
That
just
goes
stop.
back. That goes back to our early days when we were watching Coco Jam. Do
Uh
these
huh.
like, and where I mean, like, they were known to play, not only their songs but a lot of Bob Marley covers, right? Going back to
Yeah.
Bob Marley and putting in Coco Jam in this, but where they took, like, for example, off the top of my head, where they took "No Woman No Cry," it
Mm-hmm.
became something like, it's a very slow, medium tempo song, but they would take it to like parang Credence Clearwater Revival, Grateful Dead. I mean, it was a 15-minute jam, and they
Yeah,
would come back home.
they would come
And I
back.
was like, I remember one of my earliest conversations with Sila Rolly and Sila June. It's like, where did you guys go? And the only answer I ever got was a shrug and a smile, especially from Rolly. Rolly's like, eh. You know what I mean? And you're like, wow. And then you realize, since we were, I was very young and I had no idea
Yeah.
what it was playing with a band,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You realize now this is, there's no planning involved. It was perfectly in the moment.
Yeah.
and you had the unison and the agreement to be open by each member of the band to agree, oh, we're going there, let's go.
Yes. And
And
not
then
even just
somehow,
go, go,
go ahead.
go.
And somehow, agreeing that you're going somewhere, and then there's a moment in the somewhere where you agree, let's go back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's usually Manuel Legarda who says, "Let's go back. Come on, come on, come on, come on." It's too far out now. Far, far out,
Yeah,
far out.
you need one. You always need that
Yeah,
one guy, the one
yeah,
guy who said,
yeah.
"Okay, guys, let's come back
Let's
slowly.
come
Let's
back.
come back." Right?
Go
But
back
that
to the
leads to
light.
the most that leads to the most epic jams. I was just watching the Grateful Dead documentary, Long
I think.
Straight Strip,
Yeah, I
and
just watched that too, man.
yeah, and it's amazing. Like the quote from Mickey Hart
Mm.
that when people, he's a drummer, right,
You're right.
of the
Yeah,
Grateful Dead.
yeah,
And the quote I loved from him, the one takeaway I took from the 6 episodes or 7 episodes, no matter how long it was great to see a slice of life at the time and getting to know these musicians, right? And the life
yes.
that revolved around it. But, where the one quote that I loved from him is like, when people ask, this is Mickey Hart talking, right? When people ask me, what do I do? I always say that I'm in transportation. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Because
Mm,
I'm supposed to take you on a trip, right?
mm,
So I'm in transport.
yeah.
And I'm like, that
Essen-
was amazing.
essential business yan, transportation.
Di ba? Di ba? I'm your bus driver. Where you want to
Oh
go?
yeah, dude. Fuck yeah,
Oh,
man.
and that's the
No, I
most
mean, I mean,
amazing take on
I when I realized that Wolfgang had that ability, because and ironically, it happened when we got Mon, because Mon was into, he was into prog, he was into jazz, he was into, so it was easy for him to improvise because he
yeah,
liked jazz anyway, at the
yeah.
time, especially at the time. It's like, okay, we're improvising heavy metal improv. Okay, I'm down, and
Why not?
we weren't hard-headed enough to just say, to be like, let's say Metallica, where it's like Metallica. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah,
dun. No,
yeah.
Metallica's like that. You can't stray away. That's why Jason Newsted is not with Metallica anymore, because he tried to do something else. He wanted to do psychedelic shit. So,
Yeah.
and you can't do that. But Wolfgang had really wide boundaries, man. You could go.
Yeah.
And the the most I think the pinnacle of it all happened in one show in Bacolod City, and we were jamming. And an example of how we jam is like the video of Acoustica, the acoustic
Mm. Yes.
concert.
In the
That
Music
jam
Museum.
in that whole instrumental part in Holik ni Judas. That's a jam. That's not planned. Whatever's there on that tape, that's it. It's
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
what you get with the Grateful Dead. Whatever's on tape, that's it. It's gonna
That's the
be
moment.
it's gonna be different the next time we do it. We try to do it. So that's how Wolfgang jams. And then, so we were in Bacolod, and same thing, Halik ni Judas. There's a drum solo, and then it goes into a bass solo, and then Manuel comes back in, then we go into a jam. And depending on the crowd and the vibes of the band, that's how the jam's gonna go. It's totally like the Grateful Dead, man. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
You're in the moment, and you have like what your four guys, just open enough to
mhm,
go with that one guy who said, "Hey, let's do something different."
yeah,
And that's what I actually loved about you guys, because Wolfgang on the album is very different from Wolfgang live, and that's the beauty, I think, of
yes,
it. That was the
yeah.
beauty of going to your shows. You know,
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, if you went to a Wolfgang show and you saw and then you experienced that jam, that wasn't the same thing from the night before, or then
yeah,
it's going to be totally different.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah,
going back to that Bacolod gig, it was the pinnacle of jam, because the crowd was so into it that we were jamming, and then it came to a part where I started. And Manuel's. I was doing a bass drum, do do do, and then I was playing with the toms, and then we were just like, where are we gonna go now? Where are we gonna go now? And then I think Manuel starts going, with this metal guitar, right? So once I start hearing that, oh, I like right away I lock in. So I go to the floor tom, and I'm like, and then Mon right away, they all get it right away. So we're doing this thing, and it's loud and heavy. And the moment we do it, the moment that the whole band locks into that riff, and not just the riff, but the even the drums,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like this. Hey, hey. No one told them to do it.
Yeah.
They just, oh my god, dude. I was
And
like,
that's the beauty of the live element, the live
Yeah.
performances, because you don't plan this shit. And the audience is the missing band member. Because where would music be if you just had four guys in a room without anybody there? That's the seed of it, yeah. But once you put in the audience, then it becomes a whole different thing and unplanned, but
oh my god, dude.
that's
Yeah,
the missing
man.
piece. They become the next band member. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And then it becomes an experience, and it both myself, the band, and them experience
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
So there's already a connection. It's like no more the band being on the stage is just the band being on the stage, but you already connected with the crowd.
Yes.
Mission accomplished, pare.
You guys said let's go there, and everybody else went there too.
Everybody else went. It's the
That's the
perfect.
power.
It's
That's
the
the power
perfect
of
show, man.
That's the power
and
of music and live music.
Live music, and I've been in concerts like that, man. I've been in concerts. This is the most touching thing that I've ever experienced in a concert here. Small show, Chris Robinson Brotherhood.
Mm.
So it's Chris Robinson of the Crows, the Black Crows.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
his band. And jam band, really good. Their guitarist at the time, he passed away recently, but he was really good because he was going, and the notes that he played, like all these jam band, it's about the lead guitarist, like
Yeah.
Jerry Garcia and the guy of Fish, Trey
Yeah.
Anastasio, and I'm losing my train of thought. With the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, no, with CRB,
Small
their
gig,
guitarist, yeah,
intimate gig. Yeah.
their lead guitarist. He was like that. So he would like, I would be like, oh my god, I wish I was on LSD right now. Oh my god, this is so good. I wish I was on psilocybin, man. Because I was, just on weed, right? But this guy would, and after the show, it felt so good. I think Jay Ortega was actually there, and Sans, they were there. And everybody in the audience was high-fiving. Everybody was hugging each other. Dude, strangers were coming and just saying, dude, that was so fucking good, man. That was so good. Did you feel it, man? Did you feel it? Like, yeah, man, I felt it. And yeah. And this is not just people here. Everybody was like high-fiving, like, dude. I was like, wow, pare. Iba to, pare. This is like spiritual, man. This is like how you feel when you go to a really good, a good sermon of a priest. You feel
Exactly.
that
It's a religious experience, man.
it was a religious experience, and people were acknowledging it. They were hugging and just smiling. It's like, dude, did you feel that, man? And you're like, yeah, I felt it, man. And then you block your hands, and then you fucking hug, and then everyone was doing it. I was like, oh, is it just these two dudes that are really getting the vibes? When you look around the crowd's thinning, but everybody's hugging. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this, man?
It happened to me in San Francisco when I watched the Grateful Dead for the first time. And
Oh,
imagine, you know, I mean, you know me, Wolf. I mean, I'm always in all black, right?
yeah, yeah.
So can you imagine this one skinny Filipino kid with long hair in all black in a sea of tie dye?
Tie dye. I'm sure.
Everybody was everybody was giving me like bad looks. What the hell is wrong with you? Until
Uh,
this one guy came up to me, like white guy, dreadlocks, tie dyed, but
uh,
very very serious look on his face, and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey man,
was
are
he
you the man?"
younger
Yeah, he was.
or?
He was about my age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so one of the younger guys. But then he took it upon himself to come up to me and ask me, "Hey man, are you the man?" And in their vernacular, that they were
Yeah, yeah,
asking me, "Are
yeah,
you a cop? Are you a cop,
yeah, yeah,
man?"
yeah. Are you
And I
cool or
was like,
not, man?
"Yeah, so are you the man?" And I said, "No, man, you the man." And he just laughed and basically he adopted
You the
me.
man.
Yeah, I said, "Yeah, you the man."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
No, you
and
the
he just
man.
adopted me into his whole tribe. And it was a religious experience to see the Grateful Dead. But the
Oh yeah.
next night, I got tickets to see the Jerry Garcia band,
Wow.
in a smaller venue.
Hmm.
And sure enough, I had nothing. I had no tie dye with me, so I show up in all black again. And this guy and his tribe was also there. So
Okay.
immediately when they see me, "Hey, you're back, man." They adopted me again. And I didn't you don't know a lot of people when you go, my first concerts, I would go alone because nobody would go with me, or people were too
Right.
busy. When I watched Nebworth, I was alone in a sea of like,
You
thousands.
went to Nebworth?
Yeah, that was my first international concert because I
Oh,
was in London with
was
my
that the
sister
Pink
Monique.
Floyd one?
That was with Pink Floyd.
Oh
That was with
my.
Page and Plant before they were Page and Plant. That was with Clapton, with Phil Collins on drums.
Yes. Yes.
So I went alone, and somehow, because I guess you have to pass muster, you have to pass the coolness test in that sense. Are you cool? You know,
Uh-huh.
I would always go home with so many more friends. That
Mhm.
led to a really good experience when you're alone. And I mean, you're hanging out with theater people. Yes, I get to know the theater people because my sister was in Miss Saigon. But these were music lovers, concert goers,
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
my people. And they would always somehow I'd always get adopted into tribes. Same thing happened to me when I
Nice.
watched the Rolling Stones in Wembley with Bill Wyman pa. That was the
Yeah,
urban
wow.
jungle tour. That was the urban jungle tour
Wow.
for Voodoo Lounge. I would go alone, and I would always end up outside with a whole posse of people who just basically adopt me. But the religious experience where everybody was hugging, that I experienced, was at the Jerry Garcia band. Very small
Mhm.
venue. Think about like maybe double the size of Calle, you know,
Yeah,
with a
okay.
with a balcony. That's
Right.
small.
No,
And
that's
pucha,
the same kind of venue that I saw CRB. Like
right?
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful, intimate, and all that. And pucha,
Yeah.
we were all hugging. We were all, like exchanging numbers, making plans. And by the end of that San Francisco trip, these guys took it upon themselves to actually tie dye something for me. And basically, what
Wow.
they told me is that you need some color in your life. I'll never forget that moment where the guy gave me a shirt. And it wasn't even a Grateful Dead shirt. It was a plain shirt that they themselves had tie-dyed. And they
Yeah.
told me, "Look, you need some color in your life. So this is for you." And nothing
Nice.
nothing else in the world made me feel like parang, "Ooh, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm the man.
man.
I'm the man."
I'm the man. That's the best. Are you the man? No, man. You the man.
Dude, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any other response at the moment. And they're like,
Yeah.
"All right, you're cool. Come here." And it's amazing how music or a live gathering of people all listening to some excellent musicians can have that kind of religious experience, and even like not
Yeah.
even a religious experience, but a social experience that would break down the barriers, because no matter from what walks of life you're coming from, at
Mhm.
the end of the show you're hugging this stranger,
Yeah.
you know and it's a
Exactly.
real and it's a real hug. It's not one of
It's a
those
real hug.
perfunctory. It's not one of those fist bumps or perfunctory hug na parang no, it's a real
No,
hug.
it's a real hug, dude. It's a real like, it's like, and then you know when they say, "Did you feel that, man?" And then you're like, "Yeah, dude, I think I did."
Right?
you know?
It breaks down all the walls. It breaks away all the bullshit in the world because basically you have just gone through one hell of an experience,
Hmm.
and so did the guy next to you,
Yeah.
and that alone is enough to bring down these walls that we have
Oh my
spent so
god, yeah,
much time
dude.
building up.
That it's like it it's like the force field that surrounds every human being is lifted
Yeah,
for like 5 seconds, and you
yeah,
see the person as your total equal, and you're like, fuck,
yeah.
man. You know,
And you're
you
happy, and you're happy they're there because it's a validation. It's not just me, right? You felt it too, right?
yes, yeah,
Yes, I felt it.
exactly,
All
yeah,
of a sudden, you become some sort of family
yeah,
because of that one moment with the five
yeah,
seconds that your force shields, all your force shields go down at the same time.
yeah. And
It's
it's and it's
amazing.
and it's and the mere fact that everyone or whoever felt it who was hugging after the show, they were they were open enough to receive it, to
Yes.
receive the music coming from the band and feel it the
And
same way I did.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's it's weird, pare. It's so weird. Eh,
In a smaller sense, that would happen to me when I'd watch, some of our friends do an amazing jam,
yeah,
uh, in whether it be in Calle or in Mayrix or what have you,
yeah,
in Atrium, when all the walls would come down because we always had these tribes here. You have your punks. Yeah, since the scene was so small, we would always be
yeah,
in one place because that's the only
yeah,
place that had live music. But then you had the rockers, the long hairs, the punks, the stoners,
yeah,
the alcoholics, and they would always be in their. Very rarely did the groups interact
yeah,
unless there was a gig. Like
yeah.
I remember the first Ultra Storm showing up at Ultra to watch the dawn and after image. I was in, a trench coat in the height of summer for crying out loud in Manila. I had Elmer's glue in my hair, so my hair would be in a mohawk. I was in army
Oh
boots and
my
combat boots.
god.
And then you see the 80s go-go girls, you see the punks, you see the new wavers and all that, but we're all jumping at the same time when
Yeah.
enveloped ideas
Yeah,
starts.
it's weird, no?
You know? All these walls that we built for ourselves just go down. And I think that's why people go to these gatherings
Yeah, yeah.
because it's an opportunity to let your walls down and enjoy
And
yourselves
enjoy
and
yourself. Yeah.
and in a sense forget yourself.
Yeah.
Forget your bullshit, forget your problems, forget your hang-ups because you're just watching a band and the groove is really good and
Yeah.
you're jumping up and down or going at the same time as this
Yeah,
guy
dude.
next to you who might be listening to something else entirely, who might come from a different walk of life, who is wearing different clothes, subscribing to a different way of life, but we're
Yep.
all jumping
eh,
on the beat.
Yep. Because
And that's
of
the
that one connection. And
that
it,
connection.
yeah, that one connection, man, it's the power of music, man. And you know
Yeah.
what I do when I watch shows that are a little bigger, like arena shows, where where you can where you can look at one part of the crowd. I'm gonna look at section C of row A to J of section C on that side, whatever, and see how they're reacting, and then look over to my left and look over to another group of people and see how they're reacting, and then going down there and seeing how those people are reacting.
Yeah.
You know, because I like to
Yeah.
observe people. I like doing it.
Yeah.
I like looking at people and how they react, and it's just amazing. It's fascinating how they're reacting at the same time. So I'm looking right, I'm looking left, I'm looking front, looking back. At the same time, I'm reacting to. I'm like, wow! I'm freaking out as
Yeah.
well. You know,
I love
So,
walking around. I love walking around during those big concerts.
oh yeah, dude.
And seeing how far I can go. Like, if you don't have tickets to the floor, I want to see if I can get to the
Mm-mm.
floor. That's
Right,
the
right.
criminal element in my brain. I gotta
Yeah,
get up
yeah,
close.
yeah. Yeah.
How far I can go. But when you go out of your row, when you go out of your section, and it's you see different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing because it really doesn't make a difference. The only difference it makes is if you can afford a better view or not. In these big arena concerts, right? But
Right. Yeah.
at the same time, it's if it's a good show, and more often than not, it is a good show. A good show removes even that barrier of like, oh, I was up front, oh, I was far. Like when we
Oh
watched
yeah.
U2, I couldn't afford, like when U2 came here, I couldn't
Uh-huh.
afford floor tickets, right?
Yeah.
But the impact of the performance and the whole show still left me in tears. And when you
Yeah.
look around you, pucha, everybody's in tears.
Oh
But
really?
tears of joy that we're
Tears of
actually
joy.
here watching, watching this amazing band.
Yeah. They're all like reminiscing from high school. Yeah.
Diba? Especially pa, I mean, they played the entirety of Joshua Tree.
Oh
So
my
of course,
god.
you see the age groups eh. You see
Yep.
the age groups. Everybody who knows the lyrics, oh, kabatch ko kayo.
Yeah.
Diba?
Dude, the best one happened here, man. Uh it was long time ago already, probably at least 10 years, maybe 15 years already ago. And Tears for Fears here in
Mm.
Orange County. And so, of course, Tears for Fears, pare. You gotta watch Tears for Fears every time they play. So we go there and they start playing. And right away, everyone stands up. First song, party right away, diba? So in the row in front of us, so it's me, my sister April, her boyfriend at the time, and my cousin, and yeah. And then in front of us, there was everyone was partying, but
Yeah.
especially right in front of us, there was this guy, pare. He was tall, maybe your height, but he was always like, um, everybody wants to rule the world. He was like all out. Talaga. Every song he knew the lyrics. I'm like, and then I started whispering to my sister and my cousins like, Pinoy yan, pare. Sigurado ako, Pinoy yan, pare. you know. So when the show ended, house lights come on, diba? So he stands up and right away it's like, yeah, he's Pinoy. And then he turns around, he recognizes my cousin's husband at the time. And then they're like, oh, pare, what are you doing? You're like, tangina. Sabi ko na gawa, Pinoy yan, pare. O, nung, kilala pa nung asawa ng minsan ko. So,
Diba? That just happens, man.
yeah,
And if
man.
we know all the lyrics, especially with a certain band, all the lyrics, that's definitely a Filipino who
Yeah,
doesn't
man.
care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And
That's
then,
why it's so weird, like watching these big arena shows abroad
uh
and watching it here, because watching the arena shows abroad, as a tourist, like we also watched U2. When I went to Nebworth, when I watched the Rolling Stones, when I watched Prince,
yeah.
um, I was never worried about, wow, nakakaya, somebody might know me.
Mm.
'Di ba? Kasi there's a veneer of there's a idea of anonymity because, dude, I'm in a foreign land.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody knows me. She can basically cut loose. And here, what I noticed, like when we watched Aerosmith, or Stone Temple Pilots,
Uh-huh.
it takes a while for the crowd to warm up and
Yeah.
forget that, because we're
Yeah.
all like, ah, pucha, I know these people, etc., etc. And eventually, though, probably by the third or fourth song, wala na, partying na tayo. Because
Yeah.
we're like, who cares if people know me or not, or if I know anybody or not? I'm not going to judge them. We're all watching Aerosmith, man. We're all
Yeah.
watching Stone Temple Pilots. But it takes a while to warm up, and that's the main difference that I see in the foreign concerts. I mean, the concerts I've seen abroad.
You know
From the
why?
first, the lights go down, palang people are going nuts.
Yeah, because pare, people are already drinking before the show. That's what they don't do in Manila. They
That's what I
don't.
learned. That's what I learned when we watched U2. We watched U2 with Kathy Chiochaco.
Yeah,
Me
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was a 360 tour. First time we're seeing U2, and it was in the summer. And this bar had a brilliant idea. This was in
Uh-huh.
Jersey. This bar had a brilliant idea that you go park your car at their bar, you have a few drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and they will school bus you because it was summer. They rented all these school buses to take you to the arena,
To the arena.
pick you up also afterwards.
Yeah, but yeah, because you bought drinks from them, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it was a free service, but
yeah,
then everybody in that bar, more importantly, everybody on that bus, strangers, huh?
uh-huh.
Strangers.
Yeah,
We were all psyched and drunk before we even got to the arena.
yeah, pare. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh my god.
Excellent service that was. And I was thinking, my God, whoever thought up of this idea was brilliant because in the bar we're listening to you two already. On
Yeah,
the bus, you look at your designated bus where you're getting dropped off.
yeah.
You board that bus, so everybody on the bus was more or less in your same section,
Right.
having
Yeah,
to go through the same gate.
yeah,
So immediately you have a bigger community than just you or your girlfriend, or your friends. You have more friends, and you're all
yeah,
watching out for each other because you, as a group, you're already going to the concert and you're
yeah.
already
You have
psyched.
everyone's going to the same
Yeah.
mission.
Yes.
They have
And then, okay,
everyone has the same
nobody.
mission.
And then afterwards, nobody gets left behind. O
Yeah,
kita-kita
yeah,
tayo
yeah,
dito.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was an amazing experience. I mean, not just because we watched YouTube, but that whole programming before going to the arena was amazing.
yeah, yeah. There's because there. Yeah, here in the States, I mean, they don't do it anymore. It's outlawed already. But the culture of tailgating.
Yeah,
You
tailgating.
know,
Yeah,
I mean, they still probably allow it during sports events like
yeah.
football games.
You can't remove that from sports events.
Yeah, but if it's a concert, you can't. They don't allow it anymore. You
Yeah,
can't tailgate. So, but what they do is, it's a smart thing because now you either drink at home before the show or you drink at the venue. And everyone drinks at the venue, so they make more money since no one's drinking in the parking lot anymore, diba? But
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 do you think, Wolf, like that whole culture here, we missed out on that simply
we
because
really
of
missed out on that. I think. Well, it's not
the
really because
martial
well,
law
for
killed
one
it?
thing, yeah, martial law, and for another thing, it rains, dude.
Well, yeah, but I
You
mean,
know.
aside from that, I think like in the old Woodstock days, like the Pinoy Woodstock days, that was
Uh-huh.
happening here.
Right.
But eventually, it was discouraged because I think I mean, our authorities were just afraid of all these drunk, long-haired people. You
It
know,
was just, it
going
was just
nuts
that
in the
that
parking
that
lot.
it was just that whole time, man. I mean, it wasn't just the Philippines, man. The whole of South America was going through the same thing, man.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
were all scared of communists. I mean, it was communism at that time.
yeah. It
When
was the
we
Cold
were
War. It was the Cold
the
War.
Cold War, yeah. So
Yeah.
everyone was paranoid about communists and so voila, you couldn't do anything, man. But
And you didn't know who was undercover in the parking lot or not, who was going to
yeah,
report you.
yeah. I mean, and
That's
of
why when
course,
you get asked the question, "Are you the man?"
yeah, that's
You have
why.
to say, "No, man, you the man."
I mean, I'm sure, dude. I'm sure you fucking look like an agent provocateur.
Ay,
You
dude,
with your all black, they were like, "What the fuck is
I
this?"
know in a sea of tie dye.
Yeah, the see that you were like, "Oh, the balls in this
I
motherfucker."
know, yeah.
you know.
That's exactly what the Grateful Dead guy said. It's like, dude, seriously, you're the Dead Show. And I'm like, I know, I know I'm on the Dead Show. Why the hell do you look like that? I'm like, these are the only clothes I own, man.
You'd be like, "I like the Doors, man. What the
Yeah, I
fuck?"
like the Doors,
Yeah, I
dude.
like the Doors. They're probably like, "Well, yeah, you're right. I like the Doors too, man."
But yeah, the power of music and bringing people together, and that's what's so terrifying. In the beginning of the lockdown, is that we're all about bringing people together. Music, arts, theater. The scariest thing at the lockdown is that not just because all your shows were canceled. All my shows were canceled for the
Yeah.
year. You had to figure out how to pay your bills and make a living and survive this, not only practically but also like mentally and psychologically. And psychologically, I was like, how is this going to affect everybody that we're staying at home? And the initiatives, the online initiatives that happened um, after when we figured out that, dude, we're not going to be able to go out of our houses for a while.
Yeah.
The role that technology played in getting people together
Yeah.
broadened our horizons. Like, when was the last time we spoke like this? And we're actually able to do it because of this wonderful online platform.
Right.
I mean,
Which would
despite
have
the time
never,
difference.
like StreamYard and Zoom, which would have never been anything if this
If
didn't
this
happen.
pandemic, yeah, if this pandemic didn't
Yeah.
happen, the
It just
whole idea of needing to reach out to people.
Yeah.
Like I would essentially, we would talk only if we had a project together, if we were throwing ideas together, or if you were going to come home, or if I
Yeah.
was going to go there.
Right.
But
Which was the point.
yeah,
Which was actually happening because we were working on that thing, the
yeah,
the show with
yeah,
for and then of course COVID happened and then damn,
everything stopped. But
everything
we
stopped.
still, but we still found ways, and I think that's what got me through as being a freelancer,
Mm,
practically all my life and working, project to project, gig to gig, right? That's
mm,
what that mentality and that experience helped me cope. Because okay, I'm broke and I have no shows. Why
mhm,
am I panicking? I don't need to panic. I have been here before.
mhm.
Because it happens. You don't have a gig, you're not earning any money, and somehow you find a gig. But there's always that uncertainty in this kind of life in the arts. And
Well,
that's across the board, right?
yeah, of course.
Theater, dancing, you know what I mean? Um, that's what made us pivot in very creative ways because we've been in this position before. Shit, walang show, walang gig. Don't panic.
Mm,
All my life, I've there are seasons within the year where you have no shows, so
right.
I'm used to this. So how do we cope? How do we figure things out? You talk to like-minded people or people who are in the same boat, and you get together and you figure things out. How you're going to move forward? And I think
Right.
that's the mentality that really helped the creative industry because the people with 9 to 5 jobs didn't know what the hell happened to them.
Yeah.
And the people, the
Yeah.
people with regular jobs, 9 to 5, the working class and all that,
Yeah.
they had the rug pulled out from under them. I
Yep.
mean, the rug was pulled out from all of us, but we adapted better than most because we're so used to this. Oh, show was canceled. Now what?
Mhm.
You know? And that's what helped me at least pivot and repurpose myself and reinvent myself in that sense. Now we got to work to get music, the live experience of bringing people together in a safe way, in a safe way. Now that there are other things to consider other than, you know, um, the usual hazards of throwing a concert,
Yeah.
right? But the initiatives and the efforts must continue because we're human beings and we need our fellow human beings to share in the same religious experience
Yeah.
that a live concert or a live show can bring you.
But it's really that's the thing. It's really tricky because you want a live show to be uh as much people as you can put in there,
Yeah,
and it's not going to be anywhere near that,
yeah,
because you
yeah,
can't until until everybody's or most the people or everybody who wants to be vaccinated has been vaccinated,
yeah, yeah.
then
But slowly,
yeah,
slowly.
slowly,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
we
yeah,
don't need everybody here. We
yeah.
just need brave souls who will take the chance to go to a gig, you know, and follow the safety protocols. Wear a fucking mask.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I mean? Just
Yeah,
follow the protocols and you'll be fine.
yeah, dude. I
It's
mean,
like going to
already.
the grocery, but there's a band in the grocery.
I mean, like in Taiwan and also in New Zealand, they already have music
Yeah, they've had
festivals.
concerts. Yeah, they had concerts now.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that the it's like it's like what happens in high school or in school. You always have the nerds who are always prepared, always studying, always and then when shit hits the fan, they're the ones who always cope the best, right? And then and then you
No,
have the
that's why, man. If you're a Boy Scout, yeah, be prepared,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Or
and then
sabi
you
nga
have
ng G.I. Joe, di ba? Knowing is half the battle.
knowing exact. But that's the thing. It's like um being an immigrant here in the states when the lockdown happened at this time. Actually, mga um Valent Valentine's last year, Valentine's time, there was already everyone knew what was happening, and it was starting to trickle into the states, and then the president of last year didn't give a shit, so he
Yeah.
didn't do anything about it. But everyone, I could tell you that most of the immigrants here in the states, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that
Yeah.
shit's gonna hit the fan. So I'm gonna whatever it needs to be done is what we're gonna do. We're
Yeah.
not we're going lockdown, total lockdown for 3 months at least. There was a total lockdown. There was no one in the street, no one in the mall, no one out at all. And then everyone was wearing a mask again. But then, of course, you had the locals that have never experienced something like this before.
Yes. Yes.
You know, when
We were more prepared.
we're more prepared because it happens in third world countries
Yeah.
when basic services can actually disappear. Like imagine, can you like it happened just happened in Texas that
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
snowstorm and
No
there's
power.
no power.
No power, no water. I mean, the amazing thing, at least here, we're more prepared in one sense. But I'm imagining, what they had to go through in Texas because, dude, it was like -6 degrees.
Yeah,
That's something that we have never, prepared for because we don't have that kind of weather here, at
yeah. You don't
least.
no. I mean, it's never gonna snow in the Philippines. Never. I mean,
Yeah.
we're fucked if it does. We're really fucked.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
just try and fucking I don't know, man. Do whatever you need to do to live life because if it snows in the Philippines, we're fucked, man. But it has
When the
snow, but
when
it
those
has
when
snowed in Texas before.
Yeah.
So the problem there is that they didn't retrofit their equipment, the power grid and all of those things for snow, for freeze, to
yeah,
antifreeze, and stuff
yeah.
like that. So that's where the whole thing happened. So now, being an immigrant, when I look at that, it's like, pare, when I remember, man, when I was in high school, there were rolling blackouts, dude, for
Oh yeah.
weeks, pare,
Yeah.
weeks of no electricity, pare, living
Yeah.
by candlelight, dude.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I remember those rolling blackouts in Manila. I had just
Yeah.
started in Hit Productions. And the first investment that the
Dude,
people in Hit
there was even more earlier than that when I was still in high school.
Mm.
There were rolling blackouts, but yeah, in the 90s there were the
Yeah,
blackouts
in the
again.
90s there were the blackouts, and I
Yeah.
remember the first thing that they did was buy this kick-ass gen set. Like it was the Harley Davidson of frigging gen sets, right? And so we had power. So there, in weeks that were scheduled blackouts in my house, I'd live na lang in the studio kasi I have to be here anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I think mentally and I guess emotionally also, we were more prepared in this sense because we were so used to the basic social services, shutting down.
Yeah.
Whether it be a natural disaster or power grid failing,
Yeah.
record amounts of rainfall or a coup d'etat.
Coup
You know what I
d'etat.
mean?
Holy fucking shit. A fucking revolution,
A
pare.
revolution, which is
Pare.
it's the we just came from the anniversary of.
Yeah,
But
man.
a lot of things would shut down, and we were just like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna do.
dude.
We don't panic.
It's like my sister and I. We talk about it when things like this happen, and when quote unquote white people freak out.
Yeah,
We're just like laughing. You're like, dude, we've seen fucking ATVs and tanks go down the freaking highway, man, because there's a fucking coup d'etat, and the
yeah,
fucking the highways blocked with buses, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
yeah.
You know, and s- and then when you and then here, because there are some people here, a lot of people here that were just anti-mask and whatever. You're like, man, you guys, and they're complaining. It's like, oh, you're messing with
You're
my freedom.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, dude, you don't know, you don't understand what freedom is, pare. If you think that is fucking messing with your freedom, then you don't know what you got. You don't know what you got, man. You really
Well,
don't know what you got, man.
but then that's what's interesting about this whole thing is that people are waking up in a sense. People are figuring shit out that you know appreciating what they have
Yes.
in terms of like, oh, this is what it means to go without, so let's
Yeah,
appreciate what we have.
yeah,
um,
man.
and really it's all about, if we don't want this to happen again, we got to work together. It's again,
Exactly.
we go back to bringing people together, whether it be under an idea, under a belief, or in an arena with a good band playing.
Yeah.
It's getting people together so we can appreciate what we have, and also to thresh out our differences and figure out
Hmm.
how we can enjoy this life and live this life as much as we can without stepping on anybody else.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing,
Yeah.
because I mean, when you go back to live and let live, it really is the most important thing. As long as what you're doing isn't stepping on me, and what I'm doing is not stepping on you, then we can agree to disagree. We
Yeah.
can believe in what we believe in, and we can continue to enjoy the most basic things: family, love, food on our table, roof over our heads, pursuing what we need or what we want to pursue.
Hmm.
I think it's the most important thing that this great equalizer of a pandemic has created. But again, I'm talking from a position of privilege because I do have electricity, I do have a roof
Right.
over.
Yeah.
Right. I'm still scrambling to make ends meet, but then that's not different from any other year.
Yeah.
Um, and there are people who are, from the generosity and the kindness of their own hearts, have gone out of their way to volunteer, to help people, to help the less fortunate.
Yeah.
I've never seen movements bigger than this, where when we used to volunteer in the early in the pandemic, we used to deliver supplies to the frontliners, to our nurses who couldn't leave the hospitals.
All right.
And it's amazing how many donations we would pick up in a day
Yeah.
and bring it to the less fortunate or the people who actually needed it. The
Yeah.
outpouring of care um, was so apparent. It was so strong that it brought us into a sense of community, which I hadn't seen in a while, because sectors of society are so divided. We like our walls, we like our comfort zones, and people
Yeah.
were going out of their comfort zones to help other people. And that, for me, um, was the sheer display of humanity, made me believe in what it is at that moment, right? At that moment of the outpouring of generosity and kindness and caring, and people who were not that well off but still willing to help other people. That's where your humanity comes
Yes.
out. That's where your character comes out.
That. Yes.
And if you are still around today, having survived this pandemic a year into it, and the economic turmoil and the political turmoils it has brought and all that,
Yeah.
that means you're doing something. You are essential, no matter it is what you're doing.
Hmm.
You're essential as a human being, whether you could be on the front lines volunteering, or you could be safe at home, but reaching out to your friends who need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
That is equally as important to me, because the only way we're going to get through this is together.
Hmm.
And that's the silver lining, I would like to say, in this entire pandemic. And that's what something that I strive towards. I mean, sure, you get bogged down by your day-to-day life and your struggles and your
Yeah.
having to make ends meet, but if you don't lose the bigger picture, you are not alone in this.
Yeah.
I can just imagine the impact of the mental health, which won't show itself until years later. The trauma that this pandemic has
Yeah. The
created,
PTSD, man, of the
the
frontliners,
PTSD,
man.
yeah, the PTSD. Not even just the frontline. The frontliners have it, and they have a reason for it. But then
Yeah.
I have a friend, Wolf. I have a friend who hasn't left his house,
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he's freaking out. He called me about 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "Pare, I'm going crazy," and I'm like, "Dude, you gotta at least try and see people," because he lives alone. He orders everything online.
Uh-huh.
Deliveries get brought to his doorstep, and he hasn't left his home in a year.
Oh, but then you can.
Yes, you can, but he's
Yeah.
just afraid. But he's just afraid. And yung
Oh,
kapalit
he's
niyan,
afraid.
he's going nuts because he's all alone at home.
You're right.
So in that sense, the mental issues that are going to be coming up, we're
Yeah. Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
the kids today are being raised as a generation who doesn't
Oh,
hug. They're
yeah.
not going to be huggy. They're not going to be huggy
Yeah.
because that's been ingrained to them because they went through a pandemic. I can't hug somebody. Just
Right.
imagine that alone freaks me out. Human contact. I'm amazed about the people who have, like, I have a friend who managed to get a girlfriend over the pandemic. Sabi ko, hayop ka mag-text, pare. Kasi via text lang yun, ha?
Okay, pare.
Girlfriend.
Hirap nun.
Ang hirap nun.
Hirap
Pero,
nun to convince someone to
oh,
fucking...
di ba? Pero you got mad skills, bro.
Oh my God. This guy's a poet, man.
Yeah. But it's,
The fuck did he say, man?
like, can you document this?
Yeah.
But just the mental issues and the psychological issues that are gonna come out because of this trauma that the whole world has gone through.
I know,
That's why it's so
man.
important that we all got into this together. We are all gonna get out of this.
Yeah, that's the only way. Yeah, yeah. Because we know what we've been through.
Yes.
We know when you say, shit, man, I was fucking stuck in my house the whole year. It's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Shit.
me too.
You know,
Exactly.
you could be total strangers and have something in common
Yes.
that
You have
is,
you have a defining common experience.
yeah. And from there, you can already connect with whoever that is. Which is like, so what did you do? You know, you ask questions. You know, what do you do? What do you do to, to entertain yourself? It's like, I don't know, man. I was like fucking going crazy every fucking day, man. Or, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think there's, it's a chance when all of this is hopefully over. It's like there's a chance for people. Well, there's a chance for people now to realize what they really, like you said, what they really want. What do you
Yeah.
really want, man? Do you
Yeah.
want to fucking, you know, whatever, Patty, whatever, just do it, man. Just do it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast that I did, and the one that you were doing also. If there was no pandemic, I wouldn't be doing this because
Exactly.
I'd have something else to do, something
Exactly.
really fruitless and and stupid, but I'd be doing it because life would be still
Yeah.
going on.
Just the whole thing, like, well, I'm in theater, right?
Yeah.
So most of my theater work, like, I would have shows lined up for the year, whether I'd be directing it or acting in it and all that. And just the whole idea, my whole idea of listening and discovering music has changed during this pandemic, because for years like, I listen to music, but it's music that I have to learn.
Right.
It's music that I have to dissect. I have to learn how to sing it. I have to know how to act it. I have to memorize it.
Yeah.
And that would dominate my musical experience because I'm in musical theater.
Hmm.
But when all my shows were canceled, I went back to discovering music just for the sheer pleasure of it
Right.
because I didn't have to learn it. And that alone has changed my daily life.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I go to my Spotify. Okay, Spotify has created this playlist for you. Oh, sige nga. While as before, I would have my set playlists
Right. Yeah.
or playlists of songs that I would have to learn.
Yeah.
And
Same thing here.
now it's like, pucha, hayop this band. Who's this band? You know what I mean? And I'm discovering music on a daily basis
Me too. On a daily basis. Yeah.
and figuring out what I like, what I don't like. But
Hmm.
it's as me, not because I have to learn it, not because I have to practice it, not because I have to memorize it,
Yeah.
but it's just, do I like these guys or not? And
Yeah.
that has changed my daily life.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're actually making a choice. It's like suggest, Spotify suggestions for you or whatever, or
Yeah.
new releases.
New releases. Yeah.
And to me it's like, wow, there are people releasing music during a pandemic. It's like, how, it's like, this is, at least that didn't stop. Can you
Yes.
imagine if there was no new music coming out for one whole year?
What,
It'd be like,
what amazes me are these artists who have only started creating during the pandemic.
yes.
So one
Oh
thing I'm
my
very
god.
curious about, like, they've had to go through an entirely different recording process,
Uh-huh.
different creative process
Hmm.
because you're stuck at home,
Yeah.
right? And one thing I'm very excited for with these artists who got together only during the pandemic, like just the whole idea that they've never played their shit live. Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
The,
Can you imagine the moment that they do?
yeah, pare.
That's gonna be amazing.
There are so many, especially on Instagram.
Mm.
There are so many musicians, home musicians, because they're young, really young kids. And when I say young, I'm not saying 15 or anything. That's a little too young. Maybe 17, 18. No?
Yeah.
But these guys are playing. These are, and women shredding guitars. There's so many women shredders out there on Instagram. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's like, can you imagine if this happened like 20 years before? Because this is only happening now.
Yes.
And one reason, of course,
Or
is
we're
like,
only seeing them now. We're only seeing them now.
we're only seeing them now. No, and they're
Maybe,
pretty,
maybe
and
they've
they're
been maybe they've been practicing all these years
yeah, they've been
and they
practicing
haven't
since
had
they
a
were
chance to be seen. And now,
yeah,
since we're all at home and we're checking out social media and they have a platform to release their stuff, it's so easy to release your stuff now.
dude. And they're not
Now
even
discover that.
releasing. They're not even releasing stuff, dude. They're just playing licks, man.
They're just playing
They're
licks.
just playing licks, dude. And the
That's
thing is, most of them, and I'm just talking in reality terms. Most of them are attractive women who are shredding the guitar or playing blues on the guitar.
yeah.
They're they're really good guitarists to begin with. That's the main point. But they're also attractive women.
Yes.
So it's funny how in a year, in even less than a year, you start to follow these musicians, not just women but men as well. Because there's this one young kid, Pat, and he's a drummer. His name's um oh gosh, I forget his name, whatever. And he drums along all these live jazz performances by like Buddy
Wow.
Rich and all of these, like really
Wow.
wild, big band jazz, which is
Yeah.
wild. It's
Yeah.
really wild. The drums there are really wild. And he does it note for note, man. And this guy, pare, he's a kid. He's probably maybe 21, 22. Really young and really good. And he got famous on Instagram, just like all these other women. And you see them getting more popular and more popular. It's like right now, this guy, this kid drummer, he started out in the garage, and you can tell that because behind him is a garage door. You know,
Yeah.
the American garage doors, right?
Yeah.
So you say, okay, he's in the garage. That's normal. Drummers play in their garage, pare. That's what drummers do. Now he got a new room that was sponsored by someone, and he got a recording room where he
Nice.
does the same thing, but the room, it's not his garage anymore. Or
It's a
maybe
nicer room.
I think, or maybe they really set up his garage with with soundproofing and all of
Panels.
that, and then he has his logo in the back already, his signature, his autograph in the back. And this is a kid who just played on Instagram, and now he's like that. And then it's funny to see all these other young women. There's this Italian woman who plays blues guitar, doesn't speak a word of English, is Italian, and now she's you could see her getting sponsorship, and then another sponsorship, and then she's getting a sponsorship from clothes and all that, because she's
Wow.
attractive woman. So you're seeing these kids getting um having some sort of success, some level of
Yes.
success, be
Yeah.
it monetary or sponsorship or whatever, or recognition. And that's fine and good, but what I want to see is that if any of these kids, after all of this is done, when live music is back up, if any one of them are going to get hired,
Mm.
and they're really going to go out into the world and
Yeah.
become, because they're really good, man. They are fucking galing, pare, especially that drummer guy. I don't know if anyone's not gonna fucking hire this kid. It's nuts, pare. you know and then, so same thing with all the other women online, and some of them can just shred the fucking guitar to pieces, man. You know, and it's just interesting to watch them develop every month, month after month, day after day, because that's the thing. That's the fucking trap of social media. Once you get in there, you gotta keep on and keep on and keep
Yeah.
on and
Yeah.
keep on.
Yeah.
You have to be in people's radar all the time,
Yeah.
pare.
Yeah.
So with them, it's easy for them because they just play their instruments,
Yeah.
you know. And if and on the women's side, the women, and they put makeup, they do their hair, they play their guitars. My gosh, they get 100 new followers in a day. You know,
And that leads them to more sponsorships. It leads them
more
to more
sponsorships.
opportunities.
Yeah,
But I mean, as long as I hope, like with these kids who are starting this today, right? When they are stars in social media, and they're getting sponsorships and they're getting a measure of success.
yeah,
If they get together and put up a band and actually hit the road,
yeah,
um, will they be just as good in an
yeah.
uncontrolled environment?
In an uncontrolled environment, yes, it's not
Because
their room anymore,
yeah, it's
man.
not your room. You're in a seedy bar, and there are drunk guys. You know what I mean? Or magulo na concert and all that. But the beauty, I think, with this rise of the internet stars,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
It all started because they just wanted to do their thing and put it out there. I mean, that's the seed of it.
Yes.
Since there's no
Oh yeah, yeah,
pressure,
yeah, yeah.
there's no pressure, like when this pandemic happened and we were all locked down, right? There was
Hmm.
no pressure on that younger generation. Oh, you got to go and get a job, oh,
Yeah.
you can't go out, so what do you
Exactly.
do? And these guys are developing and honing their skills and their chops. And I, for one, I can't wait till for when live music is allowed again and we all come back again, and we see how they would respond to an actual audience,
To an actual audience, yeah.
how they would respond to the actual energy of a
Yeah.
gig.
Even
Because there's no take two, pare.
or
You know what I mean?
even just the basic stage fright, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
the
Every
butterflies in your stomach, man.
I mean, I've been performing for 40 years and I always get fucking nervous. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
me too, man.
I can't eat before a performance
No,
because I'm afraid I'm gonna throw up. You
dude,
know?
the worst uh the worst times that I have fucking um my bowel movements are not good is during the tour, pare. Because you're always eating and then you're always anxious, pare. So you can't
Yeah.
really digest the food really well,
Yeah.
pare. You're like, and then it's like a fucking bad habit of mine before the Wolfgang days, big show. I'm like, fuck, I gotta take a shit before the show, man. I don't want to fucking shit during the show, man. You have all these anxieties and shit, and you just can't, voila. It's just not comfortable, man. But
But
anyway,
the thing is, the stage fright and the anxiety. I mean, for however long you've been performing. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. It's never gone away. I've just gotten better at anticipating it
yeah,
and managing it, but I'm always freaking out. Right before I go on stage, I always ask myself, why the hell do you keep on putting yourself through this?
are you
And
masochist or
I
something?
know, really, like you go through this amount of stress where, if you fuck up, it's going to be in front of a lot of people,
Yeah,
and all that.
dude.
But as soon as you step on that stage and you hit that groove, you're like,
Oh,
this is why I
this is
fucking
why.
this is why I go through all this anxiety and all this stress. So
Yeah,
with this new
man.
generation now, like with these new artists now who are pandemic artists,
Uh huh.
I can't wait to see how they respond live
Yeah.
when they can take out. And I've interviewed some of these pandemic artists. I've spoken to them, and some of them are afraid, some of them are excited,
Mm-hmm.
but universally there's always this one condition. There's always this one idea that they can't get over. How are my songs that I created by myself or with a bunch of people over the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are my songs going to go down with an actual live audience?
Yeah.
Are they going to be as good when, instead of streaming, right? The people who are enjoying some success in
Yeah.
their pandemic recordings, is this going to go down well live? Can I do this live? How do I do this live?
Yeah.
Some of the artists are just like with machines,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I got it. I need an actual drummer,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and that's going to be exciting to see, because then they're going to experience, because it's a very controlled environment in how you record now, because you can't see each other or you
Yeah.
interact each other. But then there's no, when you send an email of, the drum track, it's got to be bilang. There's no room for jamming, because
Yeah.
people have to know when to
Yeah.
punch in and
Yep.
parts, right?
Yep.
When they start doing this live and they discover the jamming,
Yeah.
can you imagine where their songs will go? I'm so excited for these guys,
Yeah,
because
man.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, or when you're on, or when you're wasak na and it's your second set, and you're wasak and you're like, you start the song and you're like, oh shit, where are we going?
Yeah.
They experience moments like that. How are they going to react to that moment?
Yeah.
How are they going to get through that moment? What what is their what will happen to their music?
Well, a lot of
You
them
know,
are going to for sure get a culture shock because, especially those who only started, like you said, pandemic artists.
yeah,
If they only started now and they've never been in front of an audience or of even just
a
10
live
people,
audience,
a
a
live,
live audience.
yeah, a live
That you can
audience
get
of
the
just,
reactions. You're getting reactions real time,
yeah, of people
not
who don't,
via,
of people you don't know and who don't know you,
yeah,
people who don't give a shit about you,
yeah.
you know,
And
that's
people who are
the
actually watching you and not pressing like or the heart button. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
right there.
Yeah. And
How
it's
is
not
that
and
going to
and it's
affect?
not to say that they don't deserve the likes and all that because they are good, but
No, but it's a totally different
it's a
interaction.
yeah, yeah, no,
You're in
yeah.
the same room with them, and they're drinking and you're drinking, and what's
Yep,
gonna happen? That great unknown. That's
yep.
why I think, seriously, when all this dies down, we're going to go into a renaissance, a sort of renaissance in every art form.
Yeah.
Works of art are going to be coming out that are
It's
going
not
to
it
basically change the world.
it's not going to happen until uh everything is not back. I wouldn't say back to normal, but back in uh j- uh back in working condition. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and because like right now, it's all techie stuff that's getting
Yeah.
developed.
That's keeping us,
Yeah,
running.
and it's the stuff that's getting developed. Better streams, better whatever. It's always tech. It's not art because uh well, I don't know,
It's
because art,
tools.
well, I mean, painters are
It,
solo artists anyway,
it's,
but
it's the tools. The tools, the technology is actually giving you better tools now.
mhm,
And I think going through this collective experience has given people, or has made people realize that they have something to say.
yeah.
Once you have something to say and you have the tools to say it, when things go back to normal working conditions, or when things are working again,
Uh-huh.
we're going to have to relearn how to live our daily lives.
Yeah.
That's fucking exciting
Yep.
to me. It's scary, but it's exciting because, like, I can leave the house without a mask. When that day comes, I'm like, what?
It's like,
Now
holy shit. They
yeah,
can see my face. Oh shit.
they can
Oh
see
shit.
my face, they can see my reaction. And we've gotten so used to being so, like, transparent because we're underneath a mask.
Yeah.
Once we remove our masks, it's going to be in more than just removing the physical mask, but the
Yeah.
the human mask that we wear when we go outside might be removed as well.
Hubarin mo ang iyong maskara.
There we go. Those guys knew.
Yeah, man. I
Diba?
mean, it's it's like, how do you it's like when you, speaking as a guy, when you're out and about, and you see women, you look,
Yeah.
glance, check them out, whatever. And then with them, with everyone wearing masks, you're like, wow, ganda ng mata nito. Oh, ganda ng mata nito. Oh. Ganda ng mata nito. Oh." You're like looking at everyone's eyes. So it's like, it's not a complete.
It's not a
I
complete
sound so
picture.
mean, but the thing is that I'm
It's
like
not,
that.
it's not a,
I-
it's not a complete picture, man.
it's not a complete picture. But the thing is, I'm a visual person, so it's important to me that what I'm looking at is uh is not aesthetically pretty, but it agrees with me. My
Yeah.
senses like it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it, like, the saying, beauty eyes in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Which is true. It's like, but then you're like, oh my god, then you have then you have the devil, pare, in the other shoulders, like, pare, if they take off that mask, bungi yan, pare. You have you have sinister thoughts like that, pare. And then, so it's funny how I want to, because I'm sure someone's saying the same thing about me.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy has nice eyes, but he might have fucking buck tooth, man.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Or
So,
if I get close to him, he might have bad breath.
or yeah, exactly. While I'm judging others, people are judging me. So, and it's just interesting, like you said, Ngat, when the masks come off, it's like, how are you gonna treat other people now?
Yeah.
How am I gonna treat this person? It's like, I'm going to treat them just because they're pretty, or I'm gonna treat them because they're a person.
It's funny. The beginning of this year, I had a film shoot in Nueva Ecija,
Right? Yeah.
which is a town in Nueva Ecija where they had zero COVID cases.
Uh-huh.
So and we were the first film outfit to be allowed there, and I was the safety officer, so we were all wearing masks. And to drive through a town where people weren't wearing masks and people were going about their daily
There's no
lives,
COVID there.
zero COVID, right? In this
Wow.
town we were shooting, and that's why we were allowed to shoot there, and that's why I had to be very strict because if COVID
Ye-
was to get there, it would be from us. So
Yeah,
I had to be
exactly.
safe, diba?
Yeah.
But just just to drive through a town. You see sari stores. There was a burol. People were gambling. You know how we are,
Oh, yeah,
di ba?
yeah, yeah.
In the tents outdoors and all that. And I'm like, walang social distancing. Kasi zero COVID sila eh.
Yeah.
It was such a joy to see people with no masks. People were smiling, laughing, crying, screaming at each other. I mean, there was a guy screaming. I remember there was a couple fighting on the road when
Oh
we
my,
were going through to go to our location. And I remember thinking, wow, what a joy it must be to be able to have a fight on the road without masks.
yeah.
Mag-asawa nagsisigawan sa isa't isa kasi I mean,
Yeah.
I was making up a story in my head. Probably he didn't do the laundry or something. But you see kids playing on the street without masks and they didn't have
Oh.
they my first reaction was, oh my god, safety protocol violation. But because they had of course, why aren't you wearing masks?
Yeah.
Right? But then when you realize that they had zero COVID and they didn't have to wear masks, the sheer I
Dude,
mean everybody in the film shoot, we were all like so touched because ang sarap ng buhay nila because they didn't have to worry about
how
these
did they
things.
keep themselves COVID free? Did
They were
did
they were quarantined. It was a hard lockdown.
oh, they quarantined themselves.
Yeah, so the mayor
Oh.
actually did a very good job in containing
Ah,
and controlling, entry and exit
right.
to this town. They still had the basic necessities, but they were very careful. So to see that in the beginning of this year, I was there for 2 weeks, and I was like so ingit
Wow.
because it's like sarap, pare. But then of
Man.
course we had to wear our masks because we were from Manila. I mean, even if we're all tested, it doesn't
Yeah,
guarantee.
yeah, yeah.
Just to see the smiles on little kids running, around, people looking at you like really weird because why
Yeah,
are you guys all wearing masks? And I'm like, because we're protecting you. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah.
just to see their full faces was such an experience, a profound experience. And it made you long for, I mean, now people are longing for simpler times. People
Talaga.
are longing for, the nostalgia is such a big deal because, now our daily lives are, masks, face shields, alcohol, social distancing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And what I'm looking forward to when you remove the masks, when the masks finally come off for the whole world, is to see somebody's face, to see somebody's smile, to hear, because I'm auditory, to hear their voices, not muffled by a mask,
Yeah.
and eventually hugs,
Yep.
because the energy you get from a hug is, tremendous.
Oh yeah,
And
man.
that energy has nowhere to go nowadays because we're not hugging.
Yep. And
It's
you can't.
amazing.
Well,
You,
it's
yeah, you
it
can.
just and it just feels weird. It's like you want to, but you're like, "Ah, no, can't.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
gotta keep you safe. I gotta keep me safe.
yeah, man.
And that whole mentality when the masks come off and we're able to hug, you know,
Pare.
that's a day to look forward to.
There's gonna be another baby boom and all of that.
All these people who hooked up in pandemic relationships get to consummate their
Oh my god, yeah, dude.
the
And
motels are
then
gonna be busy.
everyone else who doesn't do that is gonna be like, fuck.
I,
It's like,
I want some of that too.
yeah, man. I'm gonna take advantage, but it's like you never know, man.
Soon. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Soon we're gonna get there. I mean, the world has survived pandemics before, so history is proof
Yeah.
that the world will keep on turning. The
Did you
question
ever
is, become
did,
a better world.
did you ever see those old photos from the 1920s from the Spanish
Yeah,
flu? They were wearing masks.
yeah,
It's like fucking what the fuck, man?
dude.
And if it weren't for this pandemic, no one would have ever seen those pictures.
Exactly. Like,
And it's
case in point, we had a shoot. We did this Manila Heritage concert, and we shot our first day shoot. We were shooting in all these places in Manila because it was for the city of Manila, and it was a tribute to hot dog, for the
right.
Manila Sound.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and the
What
first
bridge
place,
is that? Jones Bridge.
yeah, we shut down Jones Bridge, we shut
Right.
down Luneta Park, but the first place that we shot in was Paco Park.
Ah,
And I remember, I used to live in Paco. I used to go there every Sunday.
right. Concert at the
You know,
park.
yeah, concert at the park, and all that. And then, the one thing I never realized about Paco Park, I knew it was a cemetery, and most of them were children inside, right? But
Oh.
I never realized that Paco Park was a cemetery created for the Spanish flu. So
Oh.
that's the first place we shot. So we were like, holy shit, 200 years ago, almost to the day,
Mm-hmm.
we're here, we're fighting a pandemic, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we are here in this venue that was created from the previous pandemic.
From the previous pandemic. Fuck.
And when that locked in, we were like, pucha, we're right place at the right time, doing the right
Wow.
thing. Because we're paying tribute also to all these sacred spaces in Manila. But we didn't realize that until we locked down the shooting day, we locked down the venue with all our logistics lined up. And I'm like, wow, 200 years ago.
No,
200 years ago.
100.
Ah, yeah,
100.
100.
100.
100. No,
Yeah. Wait, 100.
18.
1920s.
No,
Spanish
200.
flu.
This was,
1920s.
Paco Park is more than 100 years old, pare. I think there was well, anyway, whatever.
Oh.
You know what I mean? We may get our dates wrong. This is why we didn't do well in school.
Wait. I
We
know.
don't, we
I
don't know our
mean,
dates.
don't trust
But
me, man.
but just because we had survived one already before, and here we
Right.
are going through this now. The world has changed,
Mm-hmm.
but the world was changing also back then.
Yeah.
They were in the middle of the advent of technology, the invention of electricity, et cetera, et
Electricity.
cetera.
Uh,
And now we're going through the same thing. But again, technology has saved us. But at the same time, the survivors, the people who survive this, are going to be. It's going to be a changed society, and I just hope that when the masks come off, society will develop into a better society
yeah,
than
man.
before this pandemic happened. That we're a little kinder, that we're a little more understanding, that we take care of our own.
Yeah.
I think that's what
That's
I'm
why
really hoping for, with
that's why
this.
it's also I'm also glad that the previous president of the US is not there anymore because
You have a
it he
chance.
because he doesn't help, pare.
I know.
It's like
You,
it's like that guy in the fucking whatever, you're like, dude, you're not helping. Okay? You're not
yeah,
helping.
exactly. You are not helping.
You're not helping. And
And
if
and you are
he
not helping in so many ways. Not just one
in
way, but
so
you are not
many
helping
ways,
in
dude.
so
In
many
so many
ways.
ways. Dude, 500,000 dead, but I mean that was because there was no preparation at all.
Yeah.
There's 500,000 dead in the States while in Taiwan and New Zealand they're having music festivals.
Exactly.
And
And
they always
of all the countries that should have prepared, everybody or all over the world was
China,
thinking,
pare,
oh,
di
the
ba?
US will be on top of it. But no, you
No,
know.
because that's why I'm it's like and they always go, well, New Zealand and Taiwan, they're smaller countries. No, it's not about the size of the country, pare.
It's about the leadership.
It's about the leadership and the logistics and all of that. How are you gonna tackle it? All you have to
Mm.
do is just convert whatever size New Zealand is and just convert it to American size and then work it from there. But it's all just about numbers anyway. It's
Yeah.
about how long do we need, how total lockdown, wear a mask, man. So many lives could have been saved, so
Yes.
many, man, if they just said wear a mask, because then everyone who followed him would wear a mask because they think that he's god or whatever.
Yeah.
you know and uh, it's just like 500,000 people, man. And if you're not gonna change, if I mean, and the thing is, there's still remnants here, pare, of that
Yeah, I
mentality,
know.
pare. There's
Things that
still
are going on.
remnants, pare. It's like, give it up already, man. It's like, now that he's not the president, I'm not. I'll just say this, now that he's not a president, he really looks just like a crazy person. Really, diba? You know, was
You
just
take away
rambling. It
you
was
take
just
away the position. You take away the position,
yeah.
and there's no important. We don't have to listen to you anymore because you're no longer the president. Yeah, you're a crazy old man.
He's the old man, and I don't know why the fucking media is still fucking covering him. He did a CPAP back, whatever. It's a Republican event, whatever. It's like, why are you still? Wala na yan, talo na yan, pare.
Yeah, you
Why are
gotta
you
move.
still giving him
You,
airtime?
you gotta move forward. But then you know what? It generates ratings. I would imagine.
The
In
thing,
that sense.
it's not anymore number one headline. Eh. It's
Yeah.
number four, number five. So
Yeah.
wala na yan, pare.
Yeah, but he's gonna keep on making gulo because he needs the limelight on him, pare.
No, I know, I know,
Everything,
I know. That
everything's
part
about
is
him.
understandable and expected. But like I said, without the position, he just looks like a crazy man, rambling
Yeah,
and being whatever, being Donald Trump. Just
yeah.
he's just not president anymore. Pare. He was a fool before that, and he's still a fool now. But anyway, I want to move away from him anyway.
Yeah.
But I just
You
wanted
know,
I wanted to know
moving.
also your how you got into everything, because um as we all know, your dad is Johnny, and
Yeah.
then your older sister's Monique. So you're in a family of. How
Well,
did
at
you
one.
get into it? Was it natural for you? Was it all three kids are like actors? No, your
Yeah,
other sisters.
we all got into theater. We all fell in love with theater. Monique was the first one who said, "I want to do this," and
Was your
that.
dad a theater actor?
Yeah, my dad started in theater, then he went into
Uh,
movies and radio, and he was the one person. He was the one sobering person that says, "Okay, this is a hard life." Our parents. There was one point in time where all four of us kids were in theater, and my folks sat us down, and my dad basically asked us, "Doesn't anybody want to be a doctor or an engineer?" Or because he was worried about our future,
right.
right? And I'll pay for your education, but this is the if you speak up now or forever hold your peace, because if you decide tomorrow you want to be a doctor, I'm not paying for it anymore.
Oh my
Does
god.
anybody want to be a doctor? And we said, no, I think we're okay. you
Ah.
know
Wait, you're
I
four siblings.
Yeah,
Who's the other
we're
one?
four siblings. Trixie, the eldest, is in Connecticut
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I have Monique, Gina, and me. I'm the
Oh,
only boy.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's funny because we all fell in love with it because we went into Repertory Philippines, a summer workshop, the summer acting workshop. And that's when the bug bit us. We were watching plays before that. I was always amazed.
Uh-huh.
So when the opportunity to go into a workshop and to see how these things were put on,
Yeah.
the opportunity presented itself. We all went there because we had this thing about all four kids have to be doing the same thing. All of them have to be together. That's what my dad always said. If
Oh,
you know, because these were like the 80s. So martial law, he was in politics.
right.
So basically, it made him feel safe that all four kids were
Oh,
together
okay. Okay.
in that sense.
Right.
So when we all got into that workshop for Repertory Philippines, the bug bit us, and I didn't realize
How old were you?
how. Oh, I did my first play when I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I was 7 years old when I attended that first workshop, and then later on that year they did Pippin, with
Ah,
Audie Hemora as the
yeah.
leading player, Cocoy
Right.
Laurel as Pippin, and
Right.
I was Theo, the little boy. Um,
Ah, I think I
and
saw that one.
and that was in Meralco Theater.
Yeah.
And since then, theater has been a big part of my life. I didn't realize though that this was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life until theater stopped for me.
Mm.
Basically, I went from, because I took it for granted, and this is a cautionary tale in terms of having grown up in theater. I was being given lead roles. I was being given, all these opportunities, and I essentially took it for granted. And there came a point where I was so unreliable, Wolf, that nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole
Shit.
because I was unreliable. I was unprepared. I would come late. I basically taking it for granted, right?
Right.
And when it was taken away from me, I had to go into corporate. Oh, I had to go into corporate, Wolf.
Oh
I
my
thought I had to
god.
get
I
a
can't
corporate
imagine
job,
you in the corporate
dude, in
world.
the corporate world, right? And then slowly opportunity started presenting itself again to me, and I had to fight my way back from production back to supporting chorus, supporting roles, then lead roles again, and all that. I had to fight my way back into it because I realized only then, when it had been taken away from me, only then did I realize that shit, I need this in my life. This is my life. Back then it was more of a casual thing in terms of, yeah, I'll appear in a play, yeah, I'll be in a band and all
Mhm.
that. And only when it was taken away from me, when I couldn't do it anymore because I was, taking it for granted, and I was always wasak. I was always, I preferred the lifestyle instead of the actual work. When I valued these experiences and what it was giving to my life and realized that my life was there, I had to fight my way back.
Right.
And it was an incredible experience because every step of the way I had to prove myself again. And at the same time, I had to fight and work my ass off to get to, where I ended up before this pandemic happened. And it was an amazing journey because you realize, you can't have one set of rules for me and another set of rules for everybody else. Why was
Right.
Jamie being allowed to come late? I realized no matter how talented you are,
Yeah.
you still have to be a professional. You still have to be prepared, come on time. And really, since I was starved of performing for years, when I get back, I was so like, pucha, and I'm home. But you gotta put in the work to make sure you stay home. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
in your home,
Right.
in your preferred art space, or in your preferred, passion in that sense.
Yeah.
And that's what really made me think, na pucha, I'm gonna go nuts anywhere else. You know, I need this for my sanity. And I went into it fully, expecting all these hurdles. Like I had to prove myself each time, every day, at every rehearsal, for every show I did. I had
Yeah.
to prove myself to these people that I'm reliable, that I come prepared, that I'm doing the best I can, that I'm putting 100% of myself into these things. It's only then that I realize how lucky I was and how privileged I am to be able to be telling these stories,
Mhm.
to be able to perform. And it's a feeling that has not gone away since I've come back, since I've realized it. When I was auditioning for a role, for Rock of Ages, for Atlantis,
Mhm.
I had a specific role that I wanted to go out for. And I was asked by the director and the producer, um, Jamie, if we can't give you this role, is it okay if we give you another role? And I told them, I don't care if I'm outside in the lobby selling programs. I don't care if I'm ushering people to their seats. I don't care if I'm a page turner in the orchestra pit. I have to be part of this magic. And I've never forgotten that statement. And I've never gone back on that statement, simply because if I can't be on stage as part of the magic, then I can be, in the peripherals,
Yeah.
helping this magic happen.
Yeah. But you have to be there, That's
Yes,
your world.
I have to.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to be there.
Yeah.
So I've never gone back on that statement. I mean it today just as much as I meant it in 2012 when I said it. So that was the most, um, that was the most cathartic experience in terms of a commitment to pursuing a life in the performing arts.
When did you uh the
Yeah.
because when I first saw you, you were doing your Jim Morrison impression in Cali. Where did that come from?
Dude, I discovered the Doors. I was just thinking about it today. It's like I don't remember the exact moment I discovered the Doors. Um, I think it was. Uh, I think it was in London, in particular,
Hmm.
when I was soaking up all the culture there that I bumped into his biography in a
Ah.
bookstore. I had their albums, but I wasn't, I didn't sell my soul to the Doors yet, like I did that time, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to become Jim Morrison.
You really sold
You
it,
know?
man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I went like 2000% into it,
Yeah.
right? I remember reading about his life and about the Doors. That's why I'm a big fan of biographies. I like the story behind the creation and not just the creation because it colors the way I hear the music.
Hmm.
I think that's when I went full into it in terms of not just listening to every single album 10 million times, every single song. I mean, to this day, I can still sing you the entire Doors catalog. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but
Really?
I can sing you the entire Doors catalog.
Oh
When we did a
my
Doors
god.
tribute night with Periodico with Vin Dancel,
Yeah.
Vin was asking me, "Oh, so what songs do you want to sing?" So I gave my songs. And then during the rehearsal, he's like, Jamie, parang I can't sing this. Do you know it? Yeah. Well, do you know this song? Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. I know all the songs. So I can sing you the entire catalog.
Mm.
Um, Even if I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I can sing you the entire catalog right now. Um, I went into also that opened up a whole bunch of artists, writers. I started reading Aldous Huxley, The Doors of Perception, because that's what they were named
Right.
from. I discovered his other books, and I discovered other writers like Jack Kerouac, On the Road, Neil Cassidy. That
Nice.
entire thing opened up to me because after reading his biography and seeing, it's like a time capsule. You
Hmm.
listen to, like, if you love a band, you listen to what they listen to, and you listen to what they listen to, and you backtrack, right? I wanted to find out what made Jim Morrison and the Doors who they were, what kind of artists they were. And that opened up a whole avenue of experiences for me, which I will forever be grateful for because eventually that led me to the Grateful Dead,
Right.
which, you couldn't be more different. The Doors and the Grateful Dead, as I experienced in my first Grateful Dead concert, right? All in black tie dye, you know. But it opened up a whole new um, wealth of experience for me. And also that led me to playing with the band
Yeah.
because I was in Fire and Rain. Eddie Rocha gave me two flaming Lamborghinis, and he said,
Right.
"Oh, Wilson, I heard you can sing. Why don't you go up and jam with the band?" And it was Coco Jam. The
Nice.
first night I met Coco Jam, I went up on stage and was like, "So what are we playing?" And I told them anything but the Doors. I know. So we started out with Break On Through. We went into Love Me Two Times. Then we eventually, got to it was from jamming one song. I think I did the half a set of the Doors songs.
Yeah.
And I remember so clearly, Wolf, that night where I realized, and this is in my early 20s, perhaps, I think, or maybe even 19 or 20, when I was jamming with them in Fire and Rain. And I swear, like the roof of Fire and Rain opened up. I could see the sky, I could see the moon, the stars, and
Nice.
God, and basically God looking down at me and telling me, Jamie, this might be a stage you want to be on as well, not just the theater
Oh,
stage, but the rock and roll stage.
nice.
And that's when, like, yeah, pare, rock and roll. And I couldn't be luckier with my first jamming experience. I had Rolly, I had Jun Lupito, I had Rico Velez, I had Heli, I had Bosho behind me. That was my first ever time
Wow.
to jam with a band.
Nice.
And I'm blessed because
You are, man.
all that led me to that point. And who would have thunk I'm still singing Roadhouse Blues?
I know, right? Well, on that note, thank you very much for joining me, man. It's really
Hey,
been a
thank you.
pleasure, dude.
Thank you, Wolf. I miss you.
I
One of
miss
these
you
days,
too, bro.
when it's all over, I'm gonna come visit you again.
Oh yeah, anytime, bro. And then we'll take a road trip. We'll go to fucking Joshua Tree and mushroom it out.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, I'm all over that.
All right. Okay, folks, WGRS Talk with my good friend Jamie Wilson. Thank you very much, man. I'll see you soon, bro.
Cheers, man.